I like loud, crazy music. That's just what I liked. I had a couple buddies that played guitar before I even played guitar, and they would try and show me like, hey, look, dude, you know, kind of lazily showing me blues licks and shit. And I always thought it was kind of boring, man. I liked it when they made just like would punch the guitar and make noise. So
Yeah.
that's always been that way. I still like that shit. I like noise and experimental shit and heavy and doom and just all that stuff. Punk rock came along a little later when some buddies of mine introduced me to it, and then I just fell in love with that because it was even a cruder, more noisy version of rock and roll. It's all rock and roll, by the way, but it was a more crude, nastier in some ways, but more politically conscious too. You know, a lot of rock and roll talks about, it's great, I love it, but some of it's kind of dumb. You know, it's talking about chicks or some shit or partying, and those are good songs when AC/DC does it or somebody. But punk rock had a social consciousness that I liked, you know, like Minor Threat and Bad Brains and these bands, and then it got into the experimental stuff like Sonic Youth, which is more post-punk, and that's what I got into. And really, that's kind of been my music since then. I don't even consider myself a blues musician. Even I love elements of the blues, like Delta blues and stuff, but it's mostly because I think I use blues kind of tools to do what I do, which is slide guitar, resonators, but I also use electric guitars and half stack amps like I have sitting around me. I'm in my space right now. So I think because some of the music I do is blues based, I get lumped in with that, which I don't have any head trips about it, but I don't go around trying to carry the flag for blues like I'm the new blues god or something, because I'm not. I'm just a songwriter primarily, and the tools that I use to make my kind of music the way it comes out just happens to have elements of blues and stuff in there. I just like the sound of slide guitar too, and just cool. I always loved it, and I always loved the Delta blues stuff too. I hitchhiked one time home from work, and a guy pulled I was walking home from work, and a guy pulled a knife on me on my way back to my house. He was kind of weird, and it worked out. Like, I just ended up like, hey, man, why don't you just give me a ride home, dude? Because he was driving. So I hitched a ride with him, and I actually invited him in our house, and we were having a band practice after that. So in the middle of all this bad luck, we got somebody stuck a cow's heart in our mailbox. No bullshit. Yeah. I'm serious. And it's like, it looks like like an American football made of meat. It's like fucking 2 pounds. It's big. I'm not bullshitting. It was like, we were fucking like, our energy was, I'm guessing in hindsight, I think our energy was kind of dark and bad, and maybe our intentions weren't good. I don't know. But whatever we were putting out was coming back at us twice as hard. So it's a lesson in trying to live a positive, peaceful, loving life. So, you know, my lesson I learned from that was like, I don't want to be miserable. I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to have a dark, fucked up life, you know? So I was lucky enough to realize, like, I didn't want to be like, I didn't want to pretend I was a cotton picker from 1920, which is the mistake a lot of white blues guys make. Like, oh yeah, I'm working in the field and getting on. And it's just fucking stupid, man. It's just like, sing about your own experience, write about that, and you know, I get nostalgia. I understand how people want to reference something from the past and steward that tradition, because we have a lot of that here in Lafayette with Cajun music, and that's great. It's actually keeps that alive. But another way you keep it alive is to keep inventing it and create your own version of it. So that's what I try to do. You know, I don't even know if it's Delta blues. It's just songwriting to me. You know, it's all rock and roll.
His band, they record Too Young to Die Old.
Too Die Young Fast. I mean, I don't want to complain, but in Louisiana, it's fucking hard to be an artist, original music artist. Like, it's not fucking easy, dude. Like, maybe in New Orleans it's slightly easier, but you still got to hustle. Like, the South is generally conservative, and if you're doing something a little too different or far ahead of the curve or just not something they haven't heard, it takes them a long time to come around to it. And, you know, I think I'm an example of that because I've been doing this shit a long time. And it took motherfuckers a long time to, you know, eventually find it, you know, and that's cool. I don't have a big hype machine behind me. So I really appreciate the stuff you do and everybody does. And that's all part of the whole thing. I didn't have the money to rent an apartment. I was just fucking broke, man. I didn't have money at the time. So all I could afford was living in a motel. So I lived in the motel, which is $165 a week. I got a job driving a taxi cab at night. And then I eventually made enough money to move into a trailer, which was, at that time, it was super cheap, 2004. And yeah, I lived in this trailer park. And people make fun of that shit, you know. It's just a cheap way to live, man. It's just like a cheap apartment. It just happens to be on wheels. I don't really practice scales and shit. I practice creativity and just doodling and shit. So I was doing that. He heard it and asked me if he could record what I was doing. So he brought his recording stuff over and just set it up in my room, which wasn't very fancy. But he goes, every time you play, man, just press record. And no bullshit, a week later, he had 4 CDs, or I had 4 CDs worth of fucking music for him. So we took those 4 CDs and boiled it down to one record, which is the album Trailerville. And it's all I wish I could be an asshole. I wish I had like fucking that kind of confidence or whatever, but it's just not me. And I've been humbled in my life, had my ass kicked, literally and figuratively. And just fucking, I've lost a lot, man. And I'm not proud of it. And I don't fucking wear it like a badge, but I've gone through my own share of shit, as everybody has. And when I'm not trying to wear it on me, but when when that isn't reflected in who I am, just dealing with people on a regular basis, I don't feel like I'm being myself. I don't have to be self-defeatist, but, you know, there's a gravity that comes with fucking learning getting your ass kicked metaphysically or experientially, and that informs who you are. Honestly, I think it makes you wiser. Like, if you don't fucking suffer any defeats, you might not learn any lessons about your life. Like, those are all opportunities to grow, to spiritually find yourself and find out the things you do and don't like, you know? I don't like suffering, man. It sucks. I'm not a fan of it, but I understand, like, when it hits, that you just have to, like, put your head down and push through and try and find the meaning in what's happening at that time. People are still mentally locked into the old model of the music industry. Like, they're thinking, like, if I could just get one break, I would make it. That doesn't happen now. It doesn't. The playing field's flattened, and there's too much noise, and there's too much everything. So what you need now is you need 10 breaks, and you need them strategically every few months or every 6 months in a row for a number of years. And you need a management, a team, and a label to exploit it all. So I didn't have any of that stuff. I had a little label that I had with my buddies, and it went out on its own grassroots style. Like, so that's how it's always been. It's still like that. And that's how I've been doing it. And honestly, I think that's helped me in the long run sustain it more so than I never blew up and went big real fast. I know a lot of people found me through Tarantino and Django Unchained, but it's been a slow, gradual climb. And it's still growing and climbing. Like, I'm not like living in a mansion and shit, you know? It's just like I live a normal life. But it's something about the way it's grown has made people trust me for some reason. Like, they trust that I'm being honest with my own creativity and what I'm doing, you know? I guess.
No vanity.
I guess that it's like, I mean, I'm sure I'm vain in some ways too, you know, but I don't know. It's just like there's a connection with the songs and the audience it's been there, and it's growing, and it's cool, and I'm totally like, I'm appreciative of it. I'm really glad because, you know, I spent a lot of years nobody listening to my shit, you know, or very few people. I don't want to say nobody, but figuratively speaking, you know, nobody's fucking checking it out. And I was doing the same fucking shit I'm doing now 10 years ago, more so. And I just kept doing what I do. I just like doing it. I like to change it now and then and experiment and find. I like to keep my own creativity interested because I get bored easy. And that's why I don't make the same folk songs album every time. The song tells you what to do. You do what it says. You don't tell the song what to do. If you do, you end up, honestly, I think, making bad music when you overthink it. Like, you just have to let it take you on the journey with it and trusting that what I'm trying to express is real, you know, and hopefully true for other people in some ways. And I'm not even trying to write songs for other people. I'm writing for myself. I'm just processing my own shit or bullshit. So I just put it out there. And the fact other people connect and feel that stuff is pretty incredible, man. And honestly, that's a big reward for me. I really appreciate that. It's not my main focus, but number one is creativity. I like to do creative things, even outside of music. Creativity has saved my life, man. I was fucking suicidal at different times in my life, you know, and not happy, man. I've been as fucking down as you can go. And I know what that feels like, and I don't like it, man. I don't. So creativity has always been kind of like my own personal therapy of finding a way to make sense of the world for myself. And then I just happen to put it in these little songs and pack it in there and throw it out, and people have connected with it. It's like the songs have connected with people, man. It's a mystery. Like, you can't make that happen. I can't like consciously make music that does that every time or whatever. I don't know. There's something special about that album, though. It was made at the right time for the right reasons. There was no deadlines or anything. I didn't have to make that record, you know? And nobody, to be honest, at that time, there wasn't a lot of like younger dudes playing resonators and like making original music with them. It was I can't even name one, to be honest. Like, that Americana roots music style thing was like not in vogue. There's a lot more. And I'm not saying I started the shit, because there was many guys way before me, but I always just used them. I try to use them in a different way. I'm not